Hare Krishna. Welcome to the Srimad Bhagavad Gita study session. Today is Thursday, 14th May 2020. So we start with our prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Jayapataka Swaminiti Namine Nama Acharya Padaya Nitai Kripa Pradayane Gaura Katha Dhamadaya Nagar Grama Tarine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So today is the third session of our Bhagavad Gita study. So far we learned little basics about Bhagavad Gita, and yesterday somebody requested that I should talk about how to choose a guru and how to find out whether it's a bona fide guru or not. And also I had said that it's not only the question of guru, but it's the question of shishya also, disciple also. The spiritual master and disciple both should be qualified. Only if they're qualified, then only the progress will be there. If one is qualified, the other is not, then there is a problem. And also it's a mutual acceptance. That is why it is important that the shishya also has to be qualified, because we may want to have a guru, for example, and but guru will find out that no, we are not ready yet, so he may reject us. So it's not a one-way traffic, it's a two-way traffic. So we'll start by first understanding what is the qualification of a guru. Qualification in the sense how he should be, he or she should be. So whenever I'm writing he there, please consider Mataji's that it's also she. So because in this is a way of saying always, in the scriptures and all, I opposed it many times, but then I found out that it's not possible, because that's how it is. So whenever I'm saying he, it includes she automatically. So I have made some PowerPoint today also, and we'll just go by that. So that so the guru and shishya, qualifications and requirements. So once we know this, then it is easy for those who have already chosen a guru. Now they can't change that, but I'm sure they would have also considered these points. One thing we must remember is that a spiritual guru is little different than the material guru, because the objects are different, but the requirements are almost same, except that for a spiritual guru, requirements are more stringent. And the Shastra says that once we have a guru, once we choose a guru, he remains our guru life after life. So you can imagine, like it's not easy. Life after life, we get the same guru. Now, guru is a tattva. Person can be different, but guru tattva is same. It goes for all gurus. It's not that, oh, this guru is better or worse. No, we don't do like that. Guru means guru. So first, to become a guru, to qualify as a guru, what are the requirements? The list is there, but we are going to discuss each one of them and then go forward. So the first requirement is guru must have followers, right? Because if you are a guru and there is no follower, like you are a leader and there is no follower, then what is the use of a leader? So the first requirement is a guru must have followers. How many followers? There is no such thing. The only thing required is that the guru should take only that many followers that he can handle. In the sense, when we say handle, because what happens, the scriptures say that when a person chooses a guru and the guru accepts that person as his disciple, then the guru takes 50% of the karma of that person. 50%, not 5% to 10%. 50% of the karma is taken by the guru. So guru has to be very careful. You can imagine, if the disciple does something horrible, then the guru also suffers, and vice versa. So guru's job is not that easy. It's not some fashion. It's not some people do it for, oh, I got so many followers. I got like that. People do that, But no, we should be very, very choosy. Both ways. The guru has to choose the disciple properly, and the disciple has to choose the guru properly. Okay. Now we are talking of spiritual guru. Please remember that, it's not our teachers or professors and all. They are also there. Some of them things apply to them also, but we are right now talking of, because we are talking of the subject matter of Bhagavad Gita. So let us stick to guru definition. For guru means spiritual guru, spiritual master at its core. The second is that he should speak only on the basis of Shastra. Only on the basis of Shastra. Not, getting something from different sources and trying to impress people that he's so knowledgeable and he knows everything about everything, what is going in politics, what is going on. We should know. The guru has to know. But when he talks, he can use that as an example, but not as a theory, not as a principle. Not theory, principle. Not as a principle. So all the principles that the guru speaks should be on the basis of Shastra. Then I'm saying he should be coming in parampara. Parampara means guru shishya parampara, means guru disciple chain, disciplic chain we say. So this is very, very important. I will speak a little about this. Why in parampara? Why not some guru which is not in parampara? Why not some self-made guru? Like, in the night he got a dream, or some power came and empowered him to become a guru. Because what happens, the knowledge and the parampara has to link back to the source. Not that, the parampara started somewhere in between. Okay, my guru has a guru and he has a guru, but his guru doesn't have a guru. That means it started just 2 generations back. Not a bad thing, but it's not perfect thing either. Now you consider a position of how do we, for example, I'm sitting here and I'm having this computer in front of me, and all of you also have computer. So computer, of course, is a wrong example, because people may say, oh, no, I don't have electricity, but still I'm having computer. No, let's not loud. Let's talk about the light. So light is there. I'm getting the light here. So now, is the light connected to something? See, this is a lamp here, and that there is a wire going on. It's connected to the plug there, which is switched on. That is connected to the main board in the house, right? And from there it goes to the pole or whatever cable, and from there it goes to the powerhouse, right? So there is a chain. Now you may have the best of the lamps here, made in gold and all that. But if there is some disconnection somewhere, anywhere it can happen, right? The disconnection can be between here and main switch, or main switch and the pole, or pole, somewhere, some digging going on. The moment there is disconnection, no matter what gadget we have, what device we have, we are in trouble, right? So same way, this is exactly applies. And who is the source of all this? The source is Krishna. This is one thing we have to understand very, very clearly. Source is the supreme God, Krishna. So all the paramparas, all the chain should go back to Krishna. Correct? Should go back to Krishna. If it is not going back to Krishna, that means the knowledge because who spoke this? Sri Bhagavana Uvacha. The Supreme God Krishna says, right? So this is very important. And it becomes easy, then don't have to worry about, because we have got the backing of the whole parampara with you. When you speak something based on it, again, you have to speak, the Guru has to speak on that basis, what his Guru said, not that, he tries to deviate. The moment there is a deviation, there is a fall down. That Guru cannot be trusted anymore. And there is a provision in the scriptures that if some such thing happens, we have the right to reject the Guru. If the Guru is not following all this, what I'm reading one by one, he may be rejected based on not fulfilling these requirements. Okay. So then the next comes, he should be a devotee. Why a devotee? Why not somebody, just anybody can be Guru, spiritual Guru? Because again, the problem is that same, going back to Krishna. And also, we saw yesterday that Krishna says, yesterday or day before, Krishna says that he could be understood and known only by devotional service. Bhagavad Gita can be understood properly, that's the word, properly by being in devotional service. Looking at from a point of view of a devotee. Because Arjuna also got that message only because Krishna says that you are my friend and my devotee. That's why he chose Arjuna. Okay. Now, the Guru, spiritual Guru, should not have any material business. No way. Because what will happen? Then his attention will be always diverted. Always, because he will give priority to his business versus his priority to be a Guru. What do I mean by Guru? To teach, to instruct, to guide his disciple, right? So no material business. That is why generally, not always, not necessary, because this is Kali Yuga now. Otherwise, earlier it used to be Guru means a sannyasi. But now it is not like that. Even a householder can become a Guru, provided he follows and fulfills all these requirements. Then very important thing for a Guru is that he should be equal to all, no bias. That means while distributing the knowledge, he should distribute equally to all his disciples, not choose somebody, because you gave me last month, you gave me $10,000 or 1 lakh rupees. So I will teach you something which I will not teach anybody else. No, that's not correct. He has to be equal, absolutely equal to all, no bias whatsoever. So again, when you are when you are practicing Krishna consciousness, when you have a Guru, and then you know what I'm talking about, we will see so many things happening which are not fulfilling these requirements. It's not yet over. Okay. So he should have knowledge of the scriptures because he's a spiritual Guru now. So he cannot say that I am PhD in mathematics or I am something, postdoc in some microbiology or something. So I'm a Guru there, so I'm a Guru here also. No. He should have the knowledge of the scriptures. Very important. then only he can impart that knowledge to his student, right? And this is, the next one is also equally important, because a student in the beginning, when we accept a guru, why we are accepting guru? Because we are in ignorance. We don't have that knowledge of scriptures. We don't have the knowledge of who is Krishna. So that is why we take up a guru. And so guru should be able to bring his shishya from ignorance to knowledge. That's very, very important. So that's why when we say our prayers, we start with that, Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. So the Shishya is telling, oh my dear Guru, I was born in the darkest region of ignorance. You, with the torch of knowledge, brought me to light. So that is the main job of a guru. Main job of a guru is that, to bring the disciple from darkness to knowledge, to ignorance to knowledge. When we say job description, what is the job description of a guru? So this is the first important point. Then only, if you are not able to do that, please do not become guru. And please do not accept a guru who is not going to help you come out of your ignorance. Then, of course, his personal habits are also important. Guru must be very, very pure, clean in his habits. Not that, you are having a gutka, or you are having some nas, what is the snuff, or a bidi, or this or that, or, ganja. No, it's not acceptable. This should not be acceptable. If you do that, that means there is something wrong. Because he may be talking very nicely, so we get impressed sometime, but his own behavior may be horrible. Own habits may be horrible. And then finally we say, he should not seek any monetary gains from Shishya. No monetary gain. Not, because I will make Ambani my Shishya, because if I make Ambani my Shishya, then he takes care of it. He may give some nice donation for my ashram, this, that, so that should not be the consideration at all. And as I said, if you do not fulfill, and Guru has also to follow his own instructions. Like, in the sense, he should be that example. He should lead by example. In other words, there is a saying that you should preach what you practice, right? Or you should practice what you preach. Because people will see through otherwise. We can see that, oh, he's telling something, sitting on the Vyasasana, but actually his whole life is not worth following. Right? So this is how we should be very, very careful. You should not hurry. We should not be in a haste to accept a guru just for, sometimes it is for fashion, because, oh, my friend got it, so I must have it. My uncle has, or my husband is there, so wife should also. No, not like that. It's all, remember that it's all individual relationship between guru and shishya. Individual relationship, not like a sheep mentality that everybody is there, the whole block goes there, not like that. Again, because as I said, it's this relationship for life after life. Okay. So I will just tell you one example of, how a guru was rejected. You know the story of Vamana? Bali Maharaj was the king of the Daityas. And he has a guru who was a guru for all the Daityas, Shukracharya. Very, very great personality. So when Krishna decided to test Bali Maharaj, because Bali Maharaj was also a devotee. Although he was a Daitya, but he was a nice person, very nice person. So Krishna went to him in the guise of a dwarf Brahmana, short Brahmana boy. And he reached there at the exact muhurta, that at that muhurta, if the person who has come to ask something, the king has to give it. That's the most. He cannot refuse as per the scriptural injunction. So when Vamana asked for 3 steps of, land so that he can do his regular sadhana practice, etc. Bali Maharaj agreed. So when Bali Maharaj agreed, Shukracharya, through his Divya Drishti, he recognized that this Vamana is not Vamana, but he is a Lord Vishnu, Krishna. So he immediately told Bali Maharaj, don't give anything, because he was to take a sankalpa. When you do that, that's a system. Sankalpa means just pour water on your hand and just say that, okay, I hereby determine that I am going to give you, like that, you have to do that. Sankalpa it is called. He was about to take sankalpa, and he had this kamandalu with a spout about to pour water. So Shukracharya said, no, don't do that, because this is Vishnu and he's going to finish you. He's your enemy. So Bali Maharaj said, 1 minute. You taught me that if this murta, if somebody comes, I should not refuse. So now I'm doing that and you are asking me not to do it. That means your instruction is not perfect. And that's how I reject you. He on the spot rejected Shukracharya. But that happens very rare, like it's not that every time you are sitting with a lens and trying to find out defects of the Guru. No, not like that. We should actually not, one of the qualifications of a disciple, which is not there in the list, but I'm telling you now, is that we should not find any bodily defect in the Guru, We should not, go by that. Oh, this Guru is very handsome. Or that Guru, is poor fellow, little lame. So, what he can teach. Now, not like that. There's nothing to do with body. Okay. So now we'll go to the Shishya requirements. Disciples requirements. So first is he should accept a Guru after proper consideration. Meaning same thing. You have to see the qualification of a Guru. You just know from him or from others. Is he coming in parampara? Is he having good habits? Is he pure? Does he talk from, like when you attend his classes or lectures, something you can make out like that. So after proper consideration, and when you are attracted from inside, like, from within, you know, this is my Guru. So many cases like that, Then you don't want to change, there's a, that's what's important also, that you should not change. Once a Guru is always a Guru. Unless either the Guru has fallen, that means he is no more a Guru because of some problem that he created, or he is no more there physically. Then second important thing comes is that once you have a Guru, you are accepted, he has accepted you also, then we have to follow his instructions without any discrimination, meaning without putting our brain into it. Oh, Guru has asked me to do this. Should I do it? Should I not do it? An example given is Guru says morning you have to attend the Mangalarti. Many temples, and in many homes it is done at 4:30, 5:30, like that, depending on which country you are living in. So that is the instruction from the Guru. Now you start saying, oh, I want to, but you know what? I'm awake late night watching something. So morning is a little difficult. So give some excuse then. Find some excuse not to attend. So then it is a, you are not disobedience. It comes under that. And then you will not, what will happen? You will not progress. That's all. The Guru may reject you. He says, okay, I don't want you because you are not following my instructions, right? Like you can reject a Guru, he can also reject us, right? And then he should serve the Guru. Even in Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that you should accept a Guru, bona fide Guru, and then serve him. Serve him, and the next instruction Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita is he should inquire from the Guru in a very humble and submissive way. We have to always inquire to get our confusion cleared or to understand it better, not for challenging, Oh, no, I don't agree with you, Guru Maharaj or Guruji. I don't agree with you. The moment we say that, that means we have lost the mercy of the Guru. Guru withdraws the mercy. And without Guru's mercy, we are nobody. We cannot do anything. We think that we can do, we don't need a Guru and we can do one, but no. Especially when it comes to spiritual matters. Krishna himself says this. Who said this? You should accept a Guru and serve the Guru. Krishna was saying that. And so you want to have Krishna, but you don't want to follow his instruction, then that is not a good idea. Then comes the next point. You should always respect and glorify the Guru. Respect. Always, never ever be disrespectful to Guru. For that matter, if the Guru is a Grahastha, then even to his wife, Guru Ma. That doesn't mean we should be disrespectful to others. No. All the senior devotees, we have to be very, very respectful. And glorify the Guru. Whenever you get a chance, you have to glorify the Guru. Not like a chamcha, not flattering or something, but really, you know what you got from the Guru. So there is no such thing that you should not tell in public. No, you can, you must. Glorify. Because of his mercy only, we got this connection with Krishna, right? And then he should give up all sinful activities. That is required even if you are not a disciple or something, right? You're supposed to give up. But once you accept a Guru and Guru accepts you, then at least then we should stop all sinful activities. So I don't have to tell you about what is sinful activity. Everybody knows. Or if you don't know, then you send me the list. I will tick and give it back to you. That okay, this is sin, this is not sin. But I'm just kidding. You know it, right? And then he should be very compassionate to his juniors. Not act like a big boss. Guru has given me this position, so I am now. Everybody has to bow down to me, pay your obeisances to me. And then one thing which Srila Prabhupada taught us, our founder Acharya, is that we should treat the Guru as good as God. Not as God, as good as God. There's a difference between this happens, because we do Guru Puja, we say also that he is as good as God. Sakshad Hari, Vayana, Samasta Shastra. All the scriptures say that the Guru is as good as God, but definitely not God. So the Guru says, he is the servant of God and he will make us servant of God also. That is the Guru. When he says that, that's a bona fide Guru. Not that somebody says, no, I am the God. Now you bow down before me and you do everything what I say. But don't talk of anybody else. I am your God. And then we should never talk. Sometimes we talk very loosely about Guru. Our Guru or any other Guru. Oh, his so and so is like that. We talk. We have the tendency. So we have to avoid that. That the disciple must avoid that. And finally, it's responsibility of the disciple that he takes care of Guru's material needs also. It's not that only spiritually, and the Guru, poor fellow, has no dhoti also proper, no place to sleep. No, he has to, because he is giving you the best. The Guru is giving us the best. Krishna, right? He's showing us the path to Krishna. He's holding our hand and taking us with him. So we should never leave a guru as long as he is in good standing. And so I hope I made my points, and I hope you like at least some of them. Now, if you have any question or comment, please go ahead. Any comment about Guru? Any comment about Shishya?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
What are you talking about, spiritual master or Diksha Guru?
See, Guru is a Guru. Shiksha, Diksha, there are so many types of. Okay, let's say, how many types of Gurus are there according?
Guru, Chaitya Guru, Diksha Guru, Diksha Guru,
Yes. And
mother, or and Guru's wife.
those are the persons. I'm not talking of the persons. I'm saying the types, like, okay, all mothers, you should like say that. Okay, all mothers, all Guru Matas, like that. So actually there is one thing you missed is a Patha Pradarshak Guru. The one who who introduced you to some other Guru or some system or some organization which is connected with Krishna. That is called Patha Pradarshak, right? Every one of us has been brought in because somebody told you that, right? We are not born into as a devotee and a disciple. So somebody told us. So what she says right now is right. There is a Diksha Guru. Diksha Guru is the one who connects you to the parampara, to the sampradaya. Diksha Guru is the one, and then Diksha Guru has to be only one. There cannot be more than one Diksha Guru, otherwise there will be confusion. Shiksha Guru is the one who is teaching you the knowledge of and spiritual knowledge. He can be many. You can have somebody you are learning one topic from that, somebody else is teaching you other topics. Somebody like that. Those are all called Shiksha Gurus, like your teachers. And then there is a Chaitya Guru. Krishna as Paramatma sitting in our heart, the super soul. He is also a Guru. He tells you from within. We say generally, oh, I am hearing an inner voice. Or in Hindi, we say Antaratma ki Awaaz. What is this Antaratma? That is the super soul which guides us. For example, today's thing only I will say, how the super soul worked on all of you. 8 o'clock India time, you knew that this class will be there. So I'm sure many of you would be doing some other work before this. And then suddenly you get a message that, hey, come on, you have to stop what you are doing because now the time for class. So who told you that? Of course, you may say, WhatsApp told me that. No. Even if WhatsApp was not there, and if you have a Chaitya Guru, recognize him that yes, he is the Chaitya Guru, he is the one guiding me, then you will immediately take up, instead of doing something different, you do what is important. Okay, that comes from the Chaitya Guru. So Patha Pradarshak Guru is the one who introduced, and then these varieties of Gurus are there. Everyone has equal importance. Out of that, of course, one can say Diksha Guru is the one which will take you to Krishna. So he's considered as our link, direct link. Okay. Thank you, Mother. Thank you for bringing these points. Anybody else has any question or comment? Hare Krishna. So that means two things. Either you have understood everything that I said, or you have understood nothing what I said. So both are not true, right? Although I may be blabbering something, but something is important also. Yes, yes, Mataji.
Hare, Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Like today's lecture was very clear about Guru and Shishya, and it was very easy to understand also. And whatever points you said is like we have, yes, we are going through all these things. So probably maybe that can be one of the reason. It's very clear. It's very clear, and thank you so very much. The way you are explaining is it is very easy for us to understand all the levels, Guruji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Anybody else has any question, comment, your own experience, whatever, this is the time. We'll spend another just 2-3 minutes on that and we'll stop.
Yeah, Guruji, small question. Yeah. See, generally, because of this yoga or because of this yoga only, then many people do not have, our gurus, or many people do not have chosen.
Right.
So if there is no chosen guru, okay, so there is a saying that, we can choose Adi Shankaracharya as the guru, right? So is it true?
Prabhuji, the scriptures recommend that it is better to have a living guru, because what happens, guru is the one who is going to clear your doubts, right? Now Shankaracharya definitely, like we also say that Srila Prabhupada is our Param Guru, but what happens is there's a limitation there then, because as I said, if you have some query, and where is the question of service, because this is a combination, guru is not just a what you can say, question box, like you ask question and you get the answer. No, there's a lot, there's a relationship, there is an instruction, there's so many things. Of course, in instructions, I can agree that instructions are available in his sayings, on his teachings and all that, right? But yeah, in case there is absolutely no chance, nowadays, of course, it's very easy, because thanks to the media, for example, you can connect with not anybody, but anybody who is available, right? So what you are saying is half true, no doubt, but preferable. Even if, for example, I'm just telling you, suppose this PowerPoint, I give it to you. Will you be able to understand every single thing, or it requires some explanation? It requires some fine tuning.
Sorry, Guruji, there is a lot of disturbance, so we could not hear.
So that's why I can't hear. Please, only that person who is speaking should switch on the mic. Others can switch off the mic so that it's not disturbance. Your good name, Prabhu?
Banu, Guruji Banu.
Banu. Okay. So, any other question? Anybody has any other? The mics are on. Otherwise, I will have to unmute everybody. That's the problem. I don't want to do that.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, Gauri this side.
Yes.
Long back, I heard the story of Dattatreya. That whoever he met, he made him, even the natural elements, his guru. Right? So what category can we fit that in? Like you were just discussing about, Chaitra Guru and Shiksha Guru.
The point is here, simple explanation I will give you. First of all, okay. So, yeah, Dattatreya is an empowered entity. He is not an ordinary living entity, right? He is the incarnation of three people, three personalities. So we are not Dattatreya. He could do it because of that empowerment. We are having very, very limited access to everything. So we need a guru. We definitely need a guru. And without guru, we cannot progress. Even for example, why do you put a child in the school? Why there is a teacher? The child can learn on its own. So why there is a need of a teacher? Exactly the same way, why there is a need of a guru? Because guru will not only instruct us, he will correct us also. How do you get corrected? How do you get corrected by somebody, some elements or something? How can that be? Understand? So we need it. We need some guidance.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Guruji.
Hare Krishna. Anybody else? So now you can unmute and speak, whoever wants to speak.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, then how can we differentiate between a living guru and a spiritual guru? Because you said the guru is going to be there for
I said living
mostly.
spiritual guru. I didn't say two different things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Living spiritual
Thank you.
guru. Yeah.
Okay.
So why I'm telling you all these things is because this will make your understanding of Bhagavad Gita clear. Because now here there's a guru called Krishna and there's a guru called, Shishya called Arjuna, right? They are the one discussing with each other. But all those instructions, whatever Krishna is giving to Arjuna and all the questions Arjuna is asking, is exactly we will be also doing in our own life. So Arjuna is our representative. So Arjuna is the representative of the disciples and Krishna is the representative of the guru. That's how you look at it, and then it becomes much easier. Okay. So many times it will come to us that, oh, if Arjuna could not do it, being such a powerful personality, what is our chance? So Arjuna, what he did when he was in confusion, he took the guidance. He tells Krishna, I am confused. Please guide me. And then only Krishna. So same way, Guru will not come and, just start guiding you without your requirement. You have to ask for it. Guru may give some general instructions, Okay. So I think let's also value time. It's almost 45 minutes now. So we'll stop here. And if still you have any questions, you are always welcome to write to me. And I request that instead of writing, if there is some general question, you can write in the group. If there is no general question, it's a personal question, then you can write to me. My email is available. My WhatsApp account is also available. Okay. So please do that. And I will be sending this recording to all those who have asked for it. Okay. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Guruji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Guruji.
Hari Bol.